I still remember the day my granddaughter told me, "Grandpa, I love you, but nobody wants to hear what you have to say anymore." It was like a punch to the gut, left me breathless. My wife, Margaret, she just shook her head and said, "Walter, you're being too sensitive." I'm Walter, 78 years old, and I've been thinking about that conversation a lot lately. I want to share a story with you, and I promise it'll teach you one important lesson, that being heard is not the same as being understood. It was 1965, and I was living in a small town called Oakdale, working at the local hardware store. I was friends with the owner, Joe, and his wife, Sarah. They were like family to me. We'd have dinner together every Sunday, and Joe would always ask for my opinion on things. But there was one time, one decision, that changed everything. It was a hot summer day, and a big storm was coming. Joe asked me to help him secure the store, make sure everything was tied down. I told him I didn't think it was a big deal, that the storm would pass us by. But Joe, he was worried. He had a feeling. I didn't listen, and I convinced him to leave the store as it was. The storm hit, and it was worse than anyone expected. The store was destroyed, and Joe lost everything. But here is what I never told anyone. I felt so guilty, so responsible for what happened. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I'd see Joe and Sarah, and they'd just smile and say it's okay, but I knew it wasn't. I knew I'd let them down. I started to withdraw from everyone, stopped going to dinner, stopped talking to Joe. I was afraid of what he'd say, afraid of being rejected. Years went by, and I'd see Joe around town, but we never talked about what happened. I'd just wave, and he'd wave back. It wasn't until his funeral, in 2001, that I realized the weight of my mistake. Sarah came up to me, and she said, "Walter, Joe never blamed you for what happened. He knew it was an accident." But I knew deep down that I'd broken his trust, and that's something you can never get back. The lesson I learned that day is that being heard is not the same as being understood. Just because someone is listening to you doesn't mean they're hearing what you're saying. And just because you're saying something doesn't mean it's the truth. I realized that I'd been so focused on being right, on being heard, that I'd forgotten how to listen. But here is what I never told anyone. That conversation with my granddaughter, it made me think about all the times I'd spoken up, only to be ignored. It made me think about Joe, and how I'd let him down. And it made me realize that being understood is not about being loud. It's about being clear, and it's about being willing to listen. Now, I know what my granddaughter said. It still hurts, but I understand what she meant. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say because they're not listening. They're too busy, too distracted, too caught up in their own lives. But I hope, by sharing my story, I can make you understand the importance of listening, of really hearing someone. And that's what I want to leave you with, a question. Are you really hearing the people around you, or are you just waiting for your turn to speak? That conversation with my granddaughter, it changed me. It made me realize that I'd been given a gift, the gift of experience, and it's up to me to use it to make a difference. So, if you want to hear more stories like this, if you want to learn from my mistakes, please subscribe to my channel. As I reflect on that conversation, I'm reminded of the countless moments I've had with my granddaughter, moments that have taught me the value of empathy, compassion, and understanding. She has a way of looking at the world that is both innocent and profound, and it's a reminder that we can all learn from each other, regardless of our age or background. I've started to realize that the gift of experience is not just about what I can teach her, but also about what I can learn from her. I think about all the times I've tried to impose my own wisdom on her to share my own stories and experiences without stopping to listen to hers. And I'm ashamed to admit that there have been times when I've talked over her, or dismissed her thoughts and feelings as childish or naive. But that conversation was a wake-up call, a reminder that every person, regardless of their age, has a unique perspective and contribution to make. As I've started to listen more and talk less, I've discovered a whole new world of insight and understanding. My granddaughter has taught me about the importance of living in the present, of appreciating the small things, and of being open to new experiences. She's shown me that it's never too late to learn, to grow, and to change. And she's reminded me that the gift of experience is not just about what we know, but also about how we make others feel. I've started to apply these lessons to other areas of my life, to my relationships with my friends, my family, and my community. I've realized that the gift of experience is not just a personal thing, but also a communal one. When we share our stories, our wisdom, and our experiences with others, we create a ripple effect of kindness, compassion, and understanding. We build bridges between generations, between cultures, and between communities. And as I look back on my life, I'm grateful for the twists and turns that have brought me to this place. I'm grateful for the mistakes I've made, for the struggles I've faced, and for the lessons I've learned. Because it's through those experiences that I've gained a deeper understanding of myself and of the world around me. And it's through those experiences that I've discovered the gift of experience, a gift that I'm eager to share with others. So, I want to leave you with a challenge today. I want to challenge you to think about the gift of experience in your own life. What are the stories, the wisdom, and the lessons that you've accumulated over the years? How can you use those experiences to make a positive impact on the world around you? And how can you share your gift with others, whether it's through a conversation with a loved one, a post on social media, or a story shared with a stranger? As you ponder these questions, I want to leave you with a sense of hope and optimism. I want to remind you that it's never too late to make a difference, to share your gift with others, and to leave a lasting legacy. And I want to thank you for being part of this journey with me, for listening to my stories, and for sharing in my experiences. Together, let's create a world that values the gift of experience, and that uses it to build a brighter, more compassionate, and more loving world for all. As I reflect on the journey that has brought me to this moment, I am filled with a sense of awe and gratitude. The people I've met, the lessons I've learned, and the challenges I've overcome have all contributed to a profound understanding of what it means to be human. And I believe that this understanding is not just a personal revelation, but a collective one, a reminder that we are all in this together, connected by our shared experiences and our desire to make a meaningful impact on the world. I think about the times I've felt lost and alone, struggling to find my place in the world. And I think about the times I've felt seen and heard, when someone has taken the time to listen to my story and offer a word of encouragement. These moments have taught me the value of empathy and compassion, and the importance of creating spaces where people can feel safe and supported. As I look out at the world around me, I see so much beauty and so much pain. I see people struggling to make ends meet, to find their voice, and to be seen and heard. And I see people coming together, lifting each other up, and creating positive change. I believe that we all have the power to be a force for good in the world, to use our experiences and our perspectives to build bridges and to break down barriers. One of the most profound lessons I've learned on this journey is the importance of vulnerability. It's easy to put up walls and to hide behind masks, to pretend that everything is okay when it's not. But it's in the moments when we are willing to be vulnerable, to share our true selves with others, that we create the opportunity for deep and meaningful connection. We create the opportunity for healing, for growth, and for transformation. I think about the people who have inspired me on this journey, the people who have shown me what it means to live a life of purpose and passion. They are the ones who have taken risks, who have faced their fears, and who have pushed through the obstacles that stood in their way. They are the ones who have refused to give up, who have kept going even when the road ahead seemed uncertain. And I think about the people who are just starting out on their own journey, who are just beginning to explore their passions and their interests. I want to tell them that it's okay to not have all the answers, that it's okay to be unsure of what lies ahead. I want to tell them that the journey is just as important as the destination, that the lessons we learn and the people we meet along the way are what make life truly worthwhile. As I look to the future, I am filled with hope and optimism. I see a world that is full of possibility, a world where people are coming together to create positive change. I see a world where people are valuing the gift of experience, where they are using their stories and their perspectives to build a brighter, more compassionate, and more loving world for all. And I know that this is a world that we can create, a world that we can build together, one story at a time.